Welcome in. I'm Fred Roethlisberger here in my home office, and I'm excited for the opportunity to introduce you to the Roethlisberger Life Group. We're going to talk about who we are, what we do, and most importantly, give you the information to see if partnering with us might be the next stage in your professional career. To help me do this, you're also going to be hearing from my wife, Gabby, who got all this started, as well as some of our incredible leaders on the Roethlisberger Life Group, Christian Burrell, Patrick Pipcorn, and Michelle Tweeten, who are not only leaders here within our agency, they're also building their own agencies and legacies within the Roethlisberger Life Group. Like I said, my name is Fred Roethlisberger. My wife, Gabby, actually founded this agency back in 2017. I later joined in 2021, leaving my six-figure career I had in the oil and gas industry. We have been married, me and Gabby, since 2020. We are proud Texans based out of Houston, Texas. And most importantly, we are blessed parents to our son, Bo, and then our second son, who's on the way and will be here in February. Now, with that, the Roethlisberger Life Group, me and Gabby, we own one of the fastest growing life insurance agencies in the country. Over the years, we have taught as well as been recognized on the largest stages in the industry. And so, what about you? Coming into this, I want to know, and I'm going to kind of make some assumptions if you're watching this video, that you are looking to make money in a more flexible way. You want to have some level of professional independence. You want uncapped earning potential, and you're willing to work hard if the payoff is worth it. Now, based off those assumptions, we're going to make a few promises. We promise you that you will have the ability to make more money in a flexible way, whether that's from your home office, a softball field, or at a lake house. You will experience more professional independence. You're going to have that uncapped earning potential to earn as much as you'd like with this opportunity. And if you stay long enough and do the right work and associate with the right people, your hard work will pay off. And I want to show you exactly what that looks like. So, who are we? At our core, we are a life insurance brokerage, meaning we are partnered with the best life insurance companies in the entire world, which puts us in a position to go to work for our clients and not any one life insurance company. On top of that, as a brokerage, we also have access to a wide variety of financial products that can protect families' futures from any potential threat. That's what we're passionate about doing. We're passionate about protecting families. We are also partnered with Symmetry Financial Group and the Quality InsurTech umbrella. And so, what they do for us as an independent agency is they provide the infrastructure and framework, which opens up for us access to options, partnerships with companies, structures, just things we couldn't frankly do as a small independent life insurance company because of Quality and Symmetry's spread and reach. So it's kind of a match made in heaven where you're going to get both the Roethlisberger Life Group and the Symmetry Quality platform as support. Now, what does this mean for you? Well, if you're brand new and you're not licensed and new to the industry, it means you're going to get your life insurance license. We help with that process. You're then going to get contracted with the best life insurance companies in the world. So you have amazing stuff to present to your clients. From there, you'll also have the tools, resources, and mentorship to achieve any financial goal you have. What does that also mean for you? It means you're going to get to work from home. You're going to get to set your schedule. And with the leaders on this call, you're going to have more mentors than a boss. And so with that, Gabby, you got this all started. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and let everybody know when you were starting in this industry, why you chose Symmetry.
I would love to. It's pretty crazy. I never get tired of talking about this company and this opportunity because it truly has changed our life. As Fred said, he would still be in oil and gas if it wasn't for, us finding this opportunity. So I'm always blessed to be able to speak on it. Some of the reasons that I was looking for something different when I had my one W-2 job that I had coming out of college. The one thing that I had going for me was I was coachable because I was an athlete my entire life. I played softball. I played softball at UT, go Horns. But that was my identity. And then you just kind of get spit out into the world and you're like, who am I? And I got into a sales job and I realized really quickly that I was not going to be able to earn the income that I wanted to earn. I wasn't going to be able to live the lifestyle that I saw the owner of the company that I worked for had. The math was not mathing. It wasn't going to be possible. So, I went searching for opportunities. I'm like, maybe I can earn, I can own a franchise, a Chick-fil-A or something. You have to, turns out, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And when you're 24 and have no money, that wasn't going to happen. And so I kept coming across financial services, insurance. And for all of these reasons, this is why people are so attracted to symmetry. You are able to work for yourself. You're able to work from home. That wasn't always the case when I started back in 2017. We used to drive and meet with people at their homes. We do it virtual now. So I'm at my home office. Fred's in the garage apartment at his home office. Time and money freedom. We're going to talk a little bit later about what that looks like, how to actually achieve that. But bottom line, just the ability to scale your income, right? There is no cap to your earnings here. And that's what really kind of caught my eye initially, as well as the ownership. We have a ton of support that you aren't starting from ground zero to start your business in insurance. We have a home office filled with people who are truly have a heart for us to grow our businesses as insurance agents and agency owners. So we have support from a home office. We have a recession resistant industry, pandemic resistant industry. When 2020 happened, it was horrible. Our model shifted and we actually grew, in 2020. So the opportunity has never been better, truly. I want to talk about our founders. These four individuals, in 2009, Brandon Ellison, Casey Watkins, Meredith Ellison, and Brian Pope came together in a unique situation. They had all been working in different aspects of, the independent insurance field. Brian had been working for years and built up a large organization that sold to Fortune 500 company for tens of millions of dollars. So he was kind of like the big dog, right, in the room. Brandon, Casey, and Meredith had been working in the IMO world and figured out that there's a good opportunity here, but it's not being able to be duplicated down to our agents in the way that we would like it to. So they were able to partner together and they came up with, at the time, Symmetry Financial Group, which, has turned into Symmetry and Quility. And it's really just the heart of being able to empower agents to take advantage of what's available in this marketplace that is so vast. That's what we're doing, and we'll show you how. These core values really are, who we are as a company. It's not something where it's like, okay, well, we have this company, maybe we should come up with some core values, stick them on a website. If you don't embody these, like if you're reading these and you're like, yuck, no, thank you, then I don't know that this company is going to be for you. This opportunity is going to be for you because we really embody this. We go back to them all the time when we're thinking about the culture of our agency. Are we putting relationships first? Are we having open, honest communication? Is personal growth at the forefront of our conversations? We do the right thing even when no one's looking. You do have to have a license to do this business, as Fred said. So, you do something wrong, you're going to get it taken away. We work as a team, and I'm so excited to be on this call with some of our people on our team that you're going to get to hear from right now. So Christian, please introduce yourself and then talk to them just kind of what it is we do.
Yeah, thank you so much, Gabby. My name is Christian Burrell. I'm a key leader here at Symmetry, and I've been here for about 18 months. And I live in a small town called Houston. It's here in California, not in Texas. But before this, I was in a very customer service based role, doing home and auto insurance, and I loved it. I thought that was going to kind of be my forever job. And about 2.5 years ago, me and my wife welcomed our son into the world. And it became clear pretty quickly that I was going to have to make a decision, either be a dad that provided or a dad that was present. And I wasn't okay with that. And so I found Symmetry, a place where I could not only be there for my son's first steps and all his doctor's appointments, but I could also keep a roof over our head and food on the table, a place where I can do both. And so this slide shows you some of the companies that we get to be partnered with here at Symmetry. And we really do get access to the best insurance companies in the country. The insurance carriers help to educate us on their products so that we can better serve our clients. And in return, they reward us by sending us on all expense paid trips all over the world. But the beautiful thing is we get to work with over 50 top rated carriers, but not for them. What that means is I get to work for my clients and advocate on their behalf in their specific situation. I'm not limited to just what a specific company has to offer. This allows me to genuinely do what is best for my clients and build a protection plan around them rather than forcing them to fit into one of only a few options. Symmetry was built on something called mortgage protection insurance. And to this day, it is still one of our main sources that we use to help families. Mortgage protection insurance is using simplified and instant decision life insurance products to ensure that when an unexpected event occurs, like a critical illness, a chronic illness, or someone passes away, that their mortgage continues to get paid or gets paid off completely. And so that their loved ones can remain living in the home without having to pay that mortgage payment on their own or worst case, risk losing the home to foreclosure. We also work general life leads, final expense leads, and more because we're blessed to have access to all types of life insurance products here at Symmetry, including term, whole life, and universal life. And this really allows us to be able to actually protect everyone we speak with, regardless of age or economic class. And as you can see on this slide, there's a lot of people out there that need our help. There's 132 million households in the United States, and almost half of them rely on two incomes. Not only that, we're also in the transition of something called the Great Wealth Transfer, which means 54 million people are transitioning over into retirement and no longer, being able to afford these things with their income. And so if something happens, they're depending on Social Security. And that's not enough typically because when one spouse dies, the other one only gets one of the two and not both. And so there's really a large table here for us to be able to help people with, and there's plenty of room at it for you. And this is actually one of my favorite slides. This is just showing that in 2009, when Casey and Brandon started the company, they did 307,000. I'm sure they were super excited about that. But it's been awesome to see that in 16 years, we have grown exponentially. And one of the things that I do like to point out is it's not a coincidence. I started here at the end of 2024, and there's a pretty big jump there in 2025. Just saying. I don't think it's a coincidence. But one of the things that's really cool about this is Symmetry is open about where we're going, what our future looks like. And in the next 5 to 10 years, we're expecting to be $1 billion company, a $5 billion company, a $10 billion company. And so in all seriousness, being a part of a company that is seeing growth like this gets me extremely proud and extremely excited about what's next. And so to kind of talk about how we do this, I'm going to welcome Michelle.
Thanks. Hi, everyone. I am Michelle Tweeden. I am a team leader here and very, very blessed to be part of the leadership team with Roethlisberger Agency. I came from the financial services world, investment banking, mergers and acquisition, and also personal finance, working on new business development. And what brought me here was having not only that financial freedom that I think most of us are looking for in some way, shape, or form, but really that time freedom with our family. I have two kids, they were getting older, starting to get really involved in all the extracurriculars that are offered to them. I just needed something that where I could continue to work, but also support their goals and their dreams. And that previous industry just did not allow that for me. So that is what has brought me here. It's what has kept me here, along with this team and all the wonderful people here at Symmetry. That being said, I spent, almost 20 years in a W-2 world, and moving to this type where, we're our own boss. I still really desired that, kind of setting up your day and checking in each day. And so what you see on the screen here is our morning accountability call. It's every morning, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Central, 9 a.m. Eastern. And this is how I start my day. And the leaders on this team and, other agents on our team We show up every morning for this call. It's how we boot off, we start off our day and our week. And that's where we get to hear from, other leaders here in Symmetry. There's usually about 500 or more agents on this call using it as fuel for their day and their week. Um, and then, this is also where us as, independent agents raise our hand and say, I want to be accountable for my goals. So we set our goals. Not everyone's goal is the same, and that's okay. But I want to be held accountable for what I'm putting down, and what I say I'm going to do, I'm going to do it. And this really allows you to have that ability to truly be your own boss by holding yourself accountable and being a good employee of yourself as well. And really, one of the best parts too is we break off into a team, and you get, some scripting and role play, just all that additional fuel you need for your day. Then I move into what we call our MAC room. And so that's what you're seeing here. MAC is massive action, constant correction. And each week, these calls are in that MAC room. And so the times remain the same, but it's people in this industry that are pouring back in. Nobody here gatekeeps how to do it, how to be successful. And so many of the leaders have said, hey, I'm going to host something for an hour each week in that MAC room and pour back into the community. And here is a great example of what that MAC room setup looks like. So it's turned on all week long, and people raise their hand and sign up to dial. So this is where you get to hear people live dial, run appointments. And so if you're looking for help or just some inspiration, great dials on here. Those calls that happen each week are on there. And also, one of the best things that we have is we also have breakout rooms. So that's where you can join a small group from our team, or maybe it's one-on-one mentorship with your mentor, and really getting to, get that help that your mentor is there for you. Again, not your boss, but that mentor is there to help guide you and also get you off plateau that you may be on. And then I'm going to pass it over to my friend Patrick. He's going to introduce himself and talk about more about how we do this.
Well said, Michelle. Hey, I am Patrick Pipcorn. I am from small town Minnesota originally. Married my high school sweetheart. We've got an 8-year-old son, 4-year-old daughter. I came up through a Fortune 500 company. So I've been in the financial services industry for about 15 years. Did well in that space, did all the things a corporate citizen should do, got a couple degrees and kind of thrived in that space. But I didn't really love or wasn't super passionate there about like the day-to-day job. And so that's when I was looking for something different. That's when I found Fred and Gabby and Symmetry and Quility and all the things. And so in the Symmetry world, I'm a team leader and a top producer. And so I'm just going to spend a couple minutes talking about the tools we have, the things we have available to help us do what we do. So HQ is the first thing. Quility was recognized as a fintech company of the year. They provide top-notch technology and tools for us to use. And all of that is found in HQ. This is our one-stop shop for quoting, leads, any new agent, you have a question, you can find it on HQ. The next piece is Switchboard Funnel. So this is our CRM. This is how we manage all of our client relationship communication, our follow-ups, our calls, all the things. What I love about this, although I had 15 years in financial services space and experience, I was new to sales. So I came in, relatively new to the sales, direct sales. And so this tool helps provide structure. It provides an auto dialer. It allows you access to multiple numbers if you'd like that. And then it also takes some of the memory items out too. So when I set, 5 appointments for tomorrow, the system funnel is automatically going to send out that confirmation text, that reminder text to help ensure that my clients are showing up. So really love Switchboard Funnel there. Navigator is another tool. This is our quoting tool. So this gives us, You talk to young, old, healthy, less healthy, single, married, you've got all sorts of different clients that you're working with. This takes that complexity, all those variables. We work with over 30 carriers. It takes all that complexity and simplifies it down into these are the best products that are going to fit for your client, that are going to provide the best value, best pricing, things like that. So Navigator is a huge tool for simplifying how we do what we do. And there's Test Drive. You can demo any application. So if you're like, ooh, I haven't done this before, that's going to give you a step-by-step prior to even getting in front of that first family. And then our digital products. Christian spoke about some of the carriers that we work with and how strong they are. These carriers have built products specifically for Symmetry, specifically for Quility and us as agents. And so they are designed to be easy to get in place, simple for our clients, our customers to sign and do digitally. And the magic of these completely digital products is that they flow naturally. So straight from Navigator, where you're quoting, you're meeting with your client, you're submitting that application, all in the same process. And so we find out right away, yes, you are approved for this coverage. Here's what it's going to cost, paid, instant issue. And so all of that just makes our lives as agents easier and makes it so much easier to get our clients protected as well. And then the last piece on kind of how we do what we do, are leads. Man, these are absolutely a blessing. It was one of the reasons why this group attracted me. I love helping friends and family. It is a privilege and an honor that they trust me to do that. But I didn't want my livelihood to be solely dependent on my network. And so the leads that Quility have are amazing. I love the statement in the top right. We want you to spend your time protecting families, not searching for clients. And so there is a robust amount of leads available in your area that you're going to relate to. These are families that have raised their hand and said, hey, I want somebody to reach out to me. So this is not cold calling. And they're priced in such a way, it's a value-based lead system. So they're priced in such a way to return 3-4 times what you're putting in. And the power of that is that Quility is not looking to make money on selling leads like, some lead vendors are. They're profitable when they have thriving, profitable agents who are helping families. And that's what our lead system offers to us. So with that, Fred, take us into our business model.
Yeah, thank you, Patrick. I think, one of the things that was important for me when I was looking at joining Gabby here in the industry was like, hey, I'm brand new to being an entrepreneur. So what is the business model, right? So when I learned this and what Symmetry is doing to kind of help you grow a business, I was all in. So let's take a look at this. If you haven't read it, there's an incredible book by Robert Kiyosaki called Cash Flow Quadrant. Essentially what it says and what you see here is in America, there are 4 ways to produce an income. Now, on the left-hand side, you're going to see employee or self-employed. This is actually going to cover 95% of the population of the United States. Okay, so either you're an employee, you have a job, or you're self-employed and you own a job. Okay, now even though that's 95% of the population, that's only about 5% of the wealth in America. And so when I left my oil and gas career, I went from being an employee down to self-employed, which is great, right? You're your own boss, you set your schedule. One of the great things about Symmetry is I think it's the best self-employed opportunity out there. We have agents going out and helping families and making several $100,000 each and every year. Now, the downside to that is my income is always going to be tied to my feet, right? Think about it. You're a mechanic, you own a mechanic shop. You're only getting paid when you're fixing cars, right? If you're not there and you don't have other mechanics, you're not getting paid. And so if I want to start to earn an income that's not tied to my feet, well, now I need to figure out a way to go from the self-employed quadrant to the business owner quadrant. And that's exactly what Symmetry does, right? Symmetry helps you build that bridge from you going out and successfully helping families to bringing people into the tools, resources, everything that's available here to start helping others do it. And what that does is that's going to start helping you build that passive income and legacy and ownership that we're going to get into here. And so when I looked at this opportunity, I knew that I wasn't an inventor. I didn't have, an Elon Musk idea. So if I was going to go from being self-employed to being a business owner, I needed to find a system like this where I essentially had a business in a box where it was already in place and then I just had to walk it out. Right. So this was super powerful for me and Gabby. And everybody you see on the screen here is building their bridge over to being a business owner. Now, Michelle, if people got this far, they're like, all right, this is awesome. How do I get paid? Why don't you take it over and let them know?
Love to. This is what everybody wants to know, right? This all sounds great, but how do we get paid? What does that look like? So, I know for me, when I was working that corporate life, how we started by getting paid was maybe based off of, education, what degree we had, where we went to school, could have been, how long of experience you have in the industry. Doesn't apply here. Everybody starts at 80% commission. That's whether you're starting at full-time or part-time, doesn't make a difference. And so we can go from 80% all the way up to the top there where you see 130%. That just means that every time you write business, if you get up to 130, you're not only getting full commission, 100%, you're on top of that, you're getting 130% total based off of that. And how we do that is, there's two different tracks, right? So on the left, you see that owner track. That is where you're trying to build an agency and a lot of the things like what Fred was just talking about. You take that track and you get, you make 2 consecutive months of 250,000. That puts you at 85. Do a little bit more at 5,000, that gets you to 90, and you can keep jumping up that way. You can also take the producer track on the right-hand side. That's where you're going in and you are just helping families day in and day out. Either track works, right? Whether you're trying to build an agency and have other agents with you, or if you want to be a one-man show, either works. Both of them gets you up to those higher commissions. But I do want to talk about how we get there faster, right? So what we have here is called slingshotting. And for those first couple promotions, this just helps new agents accelerate that promotion faster. So you can get from 80 to 95 just in the first few months of being here, just by doing a little bit more. So you see on the left there, typically to go from 80 to 85 for 2 months in a row, you're doing 2,500. That's what you're submitting and issuing with clients. But if you just do a little bit more in 1 month, if you do 5,000 or more, that slingshots you up to 85. Again, to get up to 90, you can either do 5,000 2 months in a row or just do 7,500 in 1 month. And so that gets us all the way up to 95 within a couple of months, and just helps you continue to grow that business a little bit faster. So let's talk and break this down. So if you are coming in as a part-time agent, like we said, you can be part-time, you can be full-time. So let's assume maybe part-time first. That is probably around 15, 20 hours a week that you're dedicating to this business. And within that time frame, typically that's looking like maybe helping 8 people, or 8 families, 8 individuals in that month at that 80% contract level that we talked about. So just coming in fresh. Here at Symmetry, our average annual premium volume, you'll hear us call it APV all the time here, is 1,200. That just means for a client's policy, what they pay in a month for the full year, then for 12 months is a total of $1,200. That's just the average here. And then we talk about a 75% career advance. I'll talk about that in a second. So each month, if you're doing this, you're helping 8 families or 8 individuals at 1,200 a piece. That's 10,000 each month. And you're at that 80% commission. So that gets us to 8,000 earned that particular month. With the 75% carrier advance, that just means that the carrier is going to give you 75% of that 8,000 up front. And what you'll get is what we call a back end commission. So that comes in months 10, 11, and 12. That's just the carriers holding us accountable, wanting us to write good business that stays on the books. We're just doing our job. So those remaining 25%, that comes in months 10, 11, and 12. But just for this exercise, for if you get that 75% advance for those 12 months, that's 72,000 annual. And so total with that back end commission, that's 96,000 in your total first year compensation. That's a lot for a part-time job, in my opinion. Let's talk if you are coming in full-time. Let's say full-time 30, 35 hours. That's full-time here. We're not too crazy. But with that amount of time, you can place, 15 to 20 policies in that month. Again, with that $1,200 APV average that we have per case. And in this case, maybe she slingshotted a few times, right? So let's assume she's now at 95% contract level. So that equals out to 25,000 placed that month at 95% commission. That gets us a little over 23,000. She'll get that 75% upfront and she's doing that each month for 12 months. That's $213,000 for her annual advance. And when she gets those back end commissions, that's a total of 285,000. That's a pretty nice full-time gig. Let's take it up a notch. Now, if you are working that full 40 hours, just like you would in the corporate world, that's giving you more time, right? To put maybe 30 to 35 policies in place in that month. You're at 100% contract level. So we're not even at the top yet. So this is just at 100%. You're getting that full commission. Same average of $1,200 in APV for that individual case. That's 40,000 that you've placed that month. 100% commission is obviously 40,000. 75% of that advanced to you in those first 12 months. That's 360,000. And once you get that remaining months 10, 11, and 12 in that year, your first a whole year's worth of commission, $480,000. That sounds a lot better than what I came from working in the corporate world where that ceiling was put on you and you were still working 40 plus. Here, just by doing the work and doing what is available to you, that's what you can make each year. Next, I am going to pass it over back to Christian. Why don't you tell us about what makes Symmetry different?
Yeah, so obviously coming in and producing, you can make a great income here. It's definitely possible for you to go out and do that. But part of what attracted me to Symmetry was I didn't want, like Fred said, my feet tied to my income. I wanted to get passive income. And not only that, I wanted to create something that my son gets to inherit. And so the beautiful thing about what Symmetry has here is they actually have an agency ownership program. What that means is once you've hit the benchmark for agency ownership, which is you plus 5 writers, 3 months in a row, issuing 30,000 in business, you actually sign a willable, sellable, transferable contract that this business is yours. That means that if I pass away before my wife, she would inherit my business. Once we both pass away, our son would inherit the business, and so on and so on. It doesn't just stop with me and my lifespan. And so the really cool thing about that is you also get to collect money passively by being a business owner here. And so what that looks like is what's called a spread. Now, what the insurance carriers do is they pay you your commission for the business that you write. They also tell you, hey, Christian, if you go out and you show this opportunity to other people and you coach them and you mentor them on how to be successful in insurance sales, we're going to pay you what's called a spread. The way that works is it's based off of how much mentorship that agent needs. And so you see in this diagram, let's say the person in the middle is myself at 105% commission, and this is my team on the right. You can see the person at 100% commission, I'm getting less spread on. That means that they have been here a while, they're already successful at this, they're doing the thing. Maybe they earned a slingshot or two, but they have promoted themselves up the commission ladder which means they need less of my mentorship. So the insurance company is going to pay me less of a spread because they already are doing the thing. Whereas if you look down here at the bottom at a brand new agent at 80% commission, they're going to need a lot more mentorship. They're going to need a lot more hands-on training and coaching. And so the insurance company acknowledges that. They know that it's taken away time from me producing. So they're going to say, hey, Christian, here's a bigger spread on that agent to help get them good at this, help get them through the learning curve. And what that looks like from a production standpoint, let's say on the left-hand side here, I'm producing 20,000 on my own pen at 105% commission. And my agency, so all the people on the right-hand side, are doing an average of 35,000. If you take my spread between those, it's going to be a 15% spread. And so looking at the same numbers Michelle just went over, but from an agency perspective versus a producer perspective, you can see if I'm doing 20,000 at 105% commission with my 75% carrier contract, that means in a month, I'm going to get paid $15,750 on just what I wrote. Now looking at my team's production of 35,000 with an average of 15% spread. Remember, that's the carrier paying me directly. It does not come out of the agent's pockets. Then the 75% advance. That means my agency, so passive income every month, is $3,937.50. You take that total in a month, it's $19,687. Over the course of a year is $236,250 of advanced commissions. But then you throw in that back end pay like Michelle talked about, and that's $315,000 in your first year of compensation. And a huge chunk of that was passive. And so let me throw this over to Gabby, and she's going to talk about kind of the next level of this because it can kind of get into some monopoly money here in a second.
Yep. So that, that $50,000 agency, that can be done, you guys, in, 7 months, like from when you start to, not missing a promotion, 7 months in, you can become an agency owner here, by doing that $50,000, blueprint that Christian just went over. But when you're here long enough and you're growing leadership and, you're growing as a leader, as a person, you're growing a team, at some point, you're going to be helping so many people become agency owners and have that $50,000 blueprint and then some, right? 100, 200, all of that. Next thing you know, you're doing volume of $500,000 a month. So these are all monthly numbers. And at this point, you've grown some leadership. You are probably out of the field at this point because it's more kind of cost effective for your time to go into growing leadership and their kind of next level of their business. So you're doing 500,000, a month agency, probably just an average of 15% on that entire agency volume. That 75% carrier advance stays the same. That's kind of industry wide. That is $56,000 in a month, you guys. It's kind of ordinary around here to kind of be talking about 30, 40, 50, 60, $100,000 a month in revenue from the insurance business that you build here. And so of course you take that over the course of 12 months, if you're making, 50 plus grand, that's, 900,000, close to $1 million a year. What's nuts is we have people doing that just personally producing here. So you do not have to build, but man, why wouldn't you? Right? What happens if you're sick? What happens, if one of your family members are sick and you need to take care of them? That's where having an agency can really, really pay off. And this is just an example of what that can look like. If you come and you run and you don't stop running. So what the founders created, and it's pretty crazy when I think of just kind of how far ahead they are with this opportunity. I'm just grateful. I'm super grateful because what can happen and the way that we protect the culture of this company is, Michelle talked about the promotion guidelines. We go all the way up to 130. If I were to help Michelle get to 130, what happens to the spread? The spread is zero, right? So why would I be incentivized to help Michelle get to the top of the company, right? That's a valid question. I'm incentivized to get Michelle to the top of the company because I get to participate in the profits of the entire company in the form of our equity bonus. And this is a monthly bonus. This is not like a, 50-cent raise on your paycheck. This is monthly bonus that gets paid out every single month. You come on our national call, once a month, they're sharing what bonuses were paid out to producers, to builders, and to equity partners. Very transparent here, but that spread's gone. And so that kind of average monthly bonus on top of what you're already getting in your agency is just under $20,000 a month. So $20,000 a month that just doesn't stop for me helping get as many people to the top of the company as possible. I just said, count me in. I said, where do I sign up? So that's what that looks like. And then Christian, he talked a lot about the carriers that we get to partner with. We don't have to fit people into a box. We have so many different options for our clients. But with that, the carriers are incentivized to help us want to sell their products, right? These are companies that have been around longer than all of our grandmas, right? And so they have massive marketing budgets, and they spoil us. I will be honest. You can go on a couple trips a year just by doing work you would already be doing. And so the trips and incentives are a huge blessing. I know they put me in rooms that I wouldn't have been in. They put me in hotels that, now my taste is a little different because these trips have changed, kind of our lifestyle. And that's why it's so important to push for these. But these are available. This is available every year, multiple different trips and incentives for carriers. Patrick, take it away.
Yeah, bringing it home here. So the real question is what you're doing now going to get you where you want to go? A lot can happen. 1 year from now can look completely different, or it can look exactly the same. We've got a saying around here, if nothing changes, then nothing changes, right? So we're offering to show you how to radically transform. And at the end of the day, it's not anybody that can do this. Who we're looking for, the people that we're looking for, are someone who wants more from life, has the grit and the fire to fight for what they want, and just needs an opportunity worth investing their effort into. So, Fred, take us home. What are the next steps?
All right. So if you got this far, hopefully there was something in here that fired you up. And so if this video resonated with you, your next step is to reach back out to the person that shared it with you. And what that likely looks like is we're going to hop on a meet and greet together. You're going to get to hear some more from the people on this call. And we're actually going to share what are some of those characteristics we see from people that win here. We're actually going to lay out a blueprint for you to earn $250,000 in deposits in your first year. And we're going to answer some of your questions that you may have as well. And so with that, look forward to talking to you soon.